The Edmonton Oilers look to complete a stunning whitewash in the Battle of Alberta as the Flames desperately seek to stay alive, hoping to hear Reveille tomorrow instead of Taps this evening. Yes, for the Flaming Sea, it's the last chance to save their season or see a year of unparalleled franchise accomplishment swept away. ESPN, the network of the National Hockey League, presents the road to the Stanley Cup, the oldest trophy competed for by professional athletes. The Stanley Cup playoffs, the most grueling competition, both mental and all of athletics. Who will be the sole survivor come the end of May? Tonight, ESPN's Road to the Cup continues for the Smythe Division Final. This evening, live from the Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, it's Game 4 between the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers.
The Northlands Coliseum still bathed in sunlight outside, cool and crisp and in the upper 40s. That's good partying weather, the Edmonton Oilers fans feel. Good evening, everyone. Along with Bill Clement, I'm Mike Emmerich. Yeah, the Oilers fans want to party. They want to send Calgary back south, and that's pretty much where Calgary's game has gone, south.
It has, and especially the most important part of their game. You know, when the playoffs start, teams assess their strengths, their weaknesses. We do the same. Well, we didn't have to look far to find out that Calgary was #1 offensively in the NHL. Well, we've put together some numbers to show you just what the Edmonton Oilers have done to them in this series. Regular season, the Flames averaged 4.9 goals a game. Against the Kings, it got better. They went up to 6. Look at this against the Oilers in the 3 games, 2.3. That's the problem.
One thing that Bill has preached all through the playoffs, whichever series we do, special teams, special teams, special teams. What about Calgary's big special team?
Their power play. We can take that offensive stat one step further and show you the power play. It's even worse. Look what they've done during the regular season. 28.5. That was #1 in the NHL. Round 1 against the Kings, well, they started to slip, and it has reached rock-bottom proportions for the Calgary Flames. They are down to a measly 14.2%. We don't even know yet whether their quarterback in the power play, Al McInnes, is going to suit up tonight, so it could be even worse tonight.
There is a song being played on all the radio stations here in the city, Tom. Take it easy. It'll be easy. It refers to how Edmonton is going to do against Calgary. It was released a week ago. We'll see how easy it'll be tonight.
All right, Mike, it may be #2 with a bullet in Edmonton, but I guarantee you guys it's not even on the charts in Calgary as Calgary gets set to try and, well, put all the cliches to rest. Backs against the wall, is no tomorrow time. They're just going to go try and win a hockey game and take this series back to Calgary. Before we go back, though, for the opening faceoff, let's take a look at some of our front page news around the Stanley Cup playoffs. Yes, this could be the year that Boston ends its 45-year jinx in the playoffs against Montreal. The Bruins lead the series against the Canadiens 3-1. We'll be in Montreal for Game 5 tomorrow night. Did the Washington Capitals win the battle but lose the war last night in New Jersey? Goaltender Pete Peters suffering a concussion. He is doubtful for Tuesday's game against the Devils. Defenseman Gary Galley took a shot in the face from Aaron Broughton. He also suffered a concussion. He is also listed as doubtful for Tuesday night. And the Oilers and Flames, you know, they've met 4 previous times, I should say 3 previous times in the playoffs. Look at the column to the right. Average goals per game by both teams, 9.6. That's a lot of them in '83. The Oilers won at 4-1. They were an offensive juggernaut. Calgary, though, started to catch up in '84. The goals per game down by 1, and the length of the series went to 7 games. In '86, the more defensive-minded Calgary Flames won the series 4-3, and only 7 goals per game between the two in that series. But look at this series. It was thought that the offense of the Calgary Flames would overpower the defensive-minded Edmonton Oilers. There's an example of a switcheroo, but it hasn't worked out that way. The goals against, or rather the goals for both teams in this series have actually gone down to their lowest point in playoff history, but it's been the defensive play of the Edmonton Oilers shutting down the supposed juggernaut of the Calgary Flames on the power play. Will it work again in Game 4? We're about to find out. ESPN's Road to the Cup continues live from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. In just a moment, Game 4 between Calgary and Edmonton. The Road to the Cup on ESPN is being brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that crisp, clean taste. This Bud's for you. And by Mitsubishi Motors, who invites you to come see the full line of cars and trucks. Mitsubishi, suddenly the obvious choice. And by Firestone Master Care Car Service. With over 1,400 locations nationwide, finally taking care Cup playoffs tonight, besides the one we're about to see between Calgary and Edmonton. That's in the North Division Finals, where the Detroit Red Wings took a 2-1 lead into Game 4 with the St. Louis Blues tonight at the St. Louis Arena. For Detroit, they wanted to get back on their game, not fall behind early, establish a lead, and then dare the St. Louis Blues to come back and catch him. Well, Detroit has done part of that. They've established a lead. Let's go to the highlights from the first period. About 15 minutes into the first period, Gerard Gallant with a blast beats goaltender Greg Millen cleanly, and it's 1-0 Detroit. Then, with 17 minutes gone in the period, Bob Probert over to Peter Klima. This is Klima cruising down the slot. What a frightening sight for a goaltender. And Greg Millen really didn't have a chance there. So Klima, along with Gerard Gallant, have scored. Detroit leads at 2-0 early in the second. By the way, Klima with 10 goals leads the Stanley Cup playoffs in that department. And John Shabbat, who assisted on the Klima goal, now has 13 assists, also leading the Stanley Cup playoffs in that department. Of course, should Detroit win tonight, they'll go back to Joe Louis Arena on Wednesday night with a commanding 3-1 advantage. As for the Calgary Flames, well, will Marty McSorley play tonight for Edmonton? Will Mike Bullard play tonight for Calgary? Those two, of course, were involved in a spearing incident in game number 3. You see Bullard, he is suited up, he's ready to play. You see McSorley on the right, he's suited up, he's ready to play. McSorley, you may recall, received a 5-minute major penalty for spearing Bullard in game number 3. What else is going to happen? Well, the Flames have sent the tape to the NHL League offices in Toronto. We understand that should Edmonton win tonight and eliminate the Calgary Flames, then Marty McSorley would receive a hearing on Thursday in Toronto. But should Calgary win tonight and prolong the series into a 5th game on Wednesday, then McSorley would have a meeting with an NHL official on Tuesday in Calgary. So either way, Marty McSorley is going to have to meet with NHL officials to answer for his spearing incident in Game 3 against Mike Bullard of the Calgary Flames. As you can imagine, the press in Alberta has had a field day back and forth. There were quotes in the Edmonton papers that Marty McSorley really did not realize what he was doing, was feeling kind of dazed as he skated back up the ice after a hard check into the boards, and really just lost it in every sense of the word. There have been other reports, of course, from the Calgary side of things that don't believe that explanation at all. So it all depends on who you believe, I guess, when you get right down to it. We're just about set for the dropping of the puck at Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, Game 4 of Calgary and Edmonton. And we remind you that tomorrow night we'll be at the fabled Montreal Forum as the proud Montreal Canadiens try and stave off elimination against the hard-charging Boston Bruins. The Bruins have won 3 games in a row after dropping the first game of the series in Montreal. They're back now, hoping to close out the Canadiens. They don't want to go back to the Boston Garden for a 6th game. They haven't beaten Montreal in the playoffs since 1943, friends. Boston wants to take no chances, and they don't want to take any prisoners. And if Reggie Lemelin plays the way he has in the last 2 games, well, then Boston really rates the favorite in that game tomorrow night in Montreal. And if Boston wins, of course, they'll play the winner of the New Jersey and Washington series. Game 5 of that series will also be tomorrow night down in Landover, Maryland. The Washington Caps and Jersey Devils are tied at 2. As for the Calgary Flames, it's roll out the cliche time. You do it tonight, or else you get out the golf clubs. Let's go live now to the jam-packed Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Game 4, Smythe Division Finals. Here's Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.
Thank you, Tom. Good evening, everyone. As we have 17,500 who are wearing orange around their necks tonight. The referee, Kerry Fraser, Gord Brosiker, and Ron Finn are the linesmen in the contest tonight. Cool and calm, not necessarily spectacular, but a good goaltender in this series, Mike Vernon from Calgary. And at the other end, if you add up Canada Cup, preseason, regular season, and playoffs, this is only his 97th start since last summer, Grant Fuhr. And he's been a great goaltender in this series. Another resounding ovation when the Oilers came out. And again, we mentioned that fans can tend to be rather blasé here, but they've responded, not only in Game 3, but in Game 4. And perhaps it is for once their team enters a series as an underdog. They have the 3-0 lead. Kevin Lowe starts on defense with Muni, and the play comes to Courtnall. Brad McCrimmon checked him off. Vernon out to tap away, and McCrimmon has it bounced free. Then he is hit by Courtnall. They try to work it back up to Lowe, but there'll be a penalty coming up, and it'll be to the Calgary Flames, and Edmonton will get the first power play of the game, just 19 seconds in.
Well, how do you think the Flames should approach this hockey game if you're sitting at home? Obviously, with a certain amount of desperation. They are down 3-0. With that desperation has to come at least enough control not to get themselves in penalty trouble at any time during this hockey game. There's Mark Messier along the boards. Look at Jim Poplinski get the stick up on him. He could have just cut him off and gotten the body against him. Before that, Courtnall taking out McCrimmon in the corner. The Edmonton Oilers, make no mistake about it, it does not matter what the Calgary Flames throw at them. They are a very mentally durable hockey team. They will not take any backward steps.
A great deal has been speculated here about how much the man you just saw will have to call tonight, Kerry Frazier. Because in the Calgary lineup, they have scratched from Game 3, Herdina, Berezan, and Glynn, and added Craig Cox along with Tonelli and Reinhardt. Cox is a tough guy. In comes Messier, hits the side of the net. Gretzky takes a look. Messier is there, but it tipped off his stick to Charlie Huddy. Spun back across, but it missed for Patterson. Gretzky swings it over for Anderson, and it's cleared back. The Oilers are using the same lineup that they have used in all 8 of their previous playoff games. Messier had that one fidgeted loose by Reinhardt, but it's kept by Curry. Gives to Huddy. Right in front of the net, Messier. The play goes from Curry to the other side to Gretzky, then back for Curry's shot that ricocheted off Otto. And it is Natras sailing one back down.
This is an important kill for Calgary. You've got to figure that if they fall behind, the easiest thing in the world would be to look at the overall task. The fact that they have to beat the Edmonton Oilers 4 consecutive games to advance to the next round. If the Oilers get ahead, I don't think the Flames can come back on them. So this is an important kill.
It is Roberts working out with Lube. And the kill is down to 50 seconds. Roberts moves in to take his own pass. Lube toward the slot, but Tikkanen and Curry, along with Simpson, move in on him. Jari Kurri headmans to Esa Tikkanen. Eyed up by Ramage. Tikkanen with a shot answered by Vernon. Lube throws it along, and it's drilled back down by Dana Merzen. 25 seconds to go, power play. The Flames make a change, bringing out Nieuwendyk and Patterson up front. In back, Merzen and Ramage remain. Tikkanen breast checked by Patterson as this handed by Vernon along to Ramage. Gretzky allows it to go back to Randy Gregg. Bounces one for Tikkanen, then to Gretzky. Looks towards Simpson. Shot blocked by Ramage. Tikkanen again. Gretzky, big blast, slowed, and it came in on Vernon. Puck back to Gregg. Out of the penalty box, Poplinski. Play continues as it swirls to Gretzky. Gretzky backhands one that goes off Ramage. Tikkanen tries a stuffer. Another try at the front of the net. And a barreling check by Patterson as Vernon was able to block. Incredible action with 2 minutes, 34 seconds gone in the first period. Penalty box empty and no score.
Craig Simpson led this Oilers hockey team in goal scoring this year with 56. He has been overshadowed in this series by the big names, Messier, Gretzky, and Curry, namely, along with Grant Fuhr.
You spoke of what the Calgary Flames need to do. What about Edmonton?
Well, it's important that Edmonton not look at the Calgary Flames as a dead hockey team. They have to remember they are only wounded. They are not dead. And a little fear of what the Calgary Flames could do if they won a hockey game would go a long way for the Oilers. So I'm sure they've been working on continuing to respect their opponent. They have to respect and maybe even fear the Flames a little bit, even tonight.
Tim Hunter out for his first shift. Did the puck over for Suter. His shot. Cairns to Courtnall. But it wasn't a fortunate enough bounce for a 2-on-1. They outlet for Lacombe, but he was held up just enough by McCrimmon that it goes deep for Vernon. Back it comes to Gregg. A shot tipped through the crease wide, through the legs of Vernon. Rammed by Lacombe. What a hit as on comes Suter. Pass broken up by Messier. Mullen comes to the bench and is replaced by McDonald.
What a hit by Norm Lacombe. I think it was a matter of Mullen not seeing him and going to just cutting the wrong way. But Mullen left his skates too. You're just like a flying object through the air, which is exactly what Mullen was as soon as you leave your feet to try and jump out of the way when you get nailed.
Finelli bangs into Messier as it's rolled deep for McCrimmon. Cross body there by Simpson. Good hitting in this one, and then Otto comes in on Anderson, who gets up to check the face and number, but turns away.
There's the Joel Otto, huh? There's the Joel Otto from the 1986 series that I remember. I have wondered where he has been, where Jim Poplinski has been. I don't think they've gotten as much ice time. Here's the hit. Wow. Lacombe just showed up out of nowhere. Mullen was trying to get possession of the puck. Just when he got it, that man who is built like a bodybuilder underneath that equipment, Norm Lacombe, nailed him. Boy, Vernon has made a couple of outstanding saves. That one went wide. It was deflected right between his legs and went wide.
It seemed to me to be very important that Otto came back after Mullen had been reefed to come through with a big hit of his own.
Somebody had to. I thought it might be McDonald. I was saying to myself, watch Lanny McDonald. If he gets a chance to crank somebody, he's going to. But somebody had to.
Otto and Krushelnyski, Hannon with a backhander that is tipped away. Turning with it is Paul Reinhardt. Reinhardt did not play in Game 3. Natras connects on with Patterson, who hands to Poklinski. Then to Otto as Poklinski hit hard by the hip check of Muni. Reinhardt a shot, and that tip just wide. As getting a piece of it, Patterson. There'll be a penalty coming up to the Oilers. So Calgary will get its first power play of the game. 15:56 to go. First period, we're scoreless from the Northlands Coliseum.
We'll see if the Flames can get their power play going. Kevin McClellan holding at 4:04 of the first period. What a hit by Muni. Watch Poklinski drop the puck, and then he left his feet as well. Muni just went down and got under him, and he did a complete 180 in the air all the way over.
Think Leo Boyden is smiling somewhere? Bob Plager, perhaps?
Yes.
Otto for the face-off with Krushelnyski. Fighting for it is Muni, tied up by Mullen, who doesn't seem to have been harmed by that devastating hit from Lacombe. Short-handed, it's Messier moving on Suter, and Suter tipped that one away. Joe Mullen banks it deeper. Reinhardt goes back. Big ooh from the crowd. 1:35 to go on the power play to the Flames. 15:30 left in the first period. Glad you're with us on ESPN. Tipped away by Messier. Gets a stride away from Lube. And then is caught by Lubin, tries to center, but back-checking all the way was Reinhardt. Puck bounces over to Reinhardt. We get a stoppage of play. There'll be a penalty coming up on Calgary, and that'll take care of the power play. Back in a moment, no score. You're on the road to the Stanley Cup with ESPN. Tom Mees back at our studios, along with Bill Clement, Mike Emmerich.
Here's a look from our super slow-mo camera. Mark Messier trying to get a step on Håkan Lube. Now the puck ends up going over to Messier's right, so Lube is able to get a little bit of an angle on him. Messier will just put the puck right in close to Lube and try and go around him. Did you see Lube's stick crack in two? The evidence was right there. He was off for high sticking.
Bullard's first shift of the game, smashed to the boards by Steve Smith. Bullard moves after Curry, locks him up, and Mike Bullard, a determined player, starts to the front, and it's blocked off by Grant Fuhr. Gretzky moving back out. Now remember, both teams are short-handed for the next 50 seconds, and then it'll be an Oiler power play for about 30 seconds. Smith's pass tipped away by Suter. Right back towards Suter, who swings it away. Nieuwendyk allows him to carry it further. Joe Mullen is on the opposite wing. Nieuwendyk breaking, but was in early. The puck must precede the members of the attacking team across that blue line. In that case, it did not, so offside was called.
There's Glenn Sather. He is the man that really first came up with the story about Marty McSorley perhaps not knowing what he had done when he speared Mike Bullard in Game 3. He said he came to the bench and he was dazed. Well, with that kind of defense, I think we can call him F. Lee Sather right now. Hey, it's Scott Murderer's off, and can get Marty McSorley off. There is John Muckler, the co-coach. I'm sure his wife Audrey's in Providence watching, and boy, his 4 girls and 1 son are scattered around the United States, he said today. They're watching at certain points here and there. I think his son is in Florida.
Muckler has been Coach of the Year in 3 different leagues. Central League with Dallas, American with Providence, and the Eastern League with the Long Island Ducks. And he watches as now Glenn Anderson works it across to Messier. 15 seconds from now, the Oilers will get a power play, barring further penalties. Merzen wrestling with Messier. Back ahead with it is Nieuwendyk. Oh, he missed a pass up the wing for Tonelli. Grant Fuhr out to swing it away. Marty McSorley drops it back behind the net, and around to take it is Charlie Huddy. Huddy, the leading playoff scorer among defensemen for the Oilers, with a pass on to Glenn Anderson. Now the power play has begun. Anderson had it punched away by Ramage. It's fed back for Tikkanen. Just arriving is Smith on a shift change, and so the Oilers have to regroup. Jari Kurri watched by Patterson. Time dribbling away. 20 seconds to go on this abbreviated power play. Up with it comes Gretzky. Gretzky flips one back to Smith. Smith has to recover. Drops it to the corner, hoping for Simpson, who's hoisted off by Ramage. Puck Comes to Gretzky. Simpson moves to the front. Gretzky behind. Tucked one in front that went off Ramage and came to Otto. Penalty time is up. Teams at even strength, and Patterson sends one for a bounce to Fuhr. Greg Cox of Calgary is out for his first shift. We mentioned he's one of the league's top guys. This will be an icing call as the Oilers sent it over the red line at the middle of the ice and at the end, and it was touched up by Calgary. 13 minutes even to go in the first, still scoreless. Peter Klima with 10 goals. Tom mentioned leads the league in goals, but in points it's Mark Messier with a dozen assists. And he has gotten crucial goals and assists in this series. He has 2 of each in the 3 games played. Cox has McDonald on his right, Tonelli on his left. Right defense Natras, left defense Reinhardt. Lanny McDonald will move in. Before the playoffs, he hadn't played center since junior hockey, but he has seen a lot at the center position in rounds 1 and in this round number 2. From the faceoff, it is kicked away by Krushelnyski and banked back by McTavish to be taken by Kevin Lowe. Lowe playing despite injury. Leads it off for the take and then the give back by Lacombe. They work it out to McTavish. McTavish dumps in to take it Randy McDonald. Lowe turns to head back as McDonald's pass turned off Tonelli, and McDonald was hit hard by Courtnall. Craig Cox in, bumped off by Muni, comes around with the stick, and that'll cost. Delayed penalty call up. Lowe got away from the trip attempt to McDonald. Delayed call is on, so Fuhr, you'll notice the net empty, has come to the bench for an extra attacker. As soon as Calgary touches the puck, play is stopped. Here's Messier dropping to Courtnall. Went wide with the shot. And now the stoppage of play.
You know, Kerry Fraser followed Craig Cox just about all over the ice to make sure that he didn't commit another infraction. When he finally blew the play down, he was about 8 feet from Cox, but those are the kinds of penalties that will take the wind out of your sails early. They're trying to establish some kind of offense, and you just can't do that when you're in the penalty box. Here's Norm Lacombe. Muni, number 28 for the Oilers, squeezes Cox off along the boards. Well, yeah, I guess, huh? What do you say?
Kerry Fraser says a slash. It's 7:48, so Edmonton will get the 3rd power play. The one thing I know you've talked about from game 1 on is how Calgary needs to establish the forechecking game, but man, oh man, 3rd time in the box now.
You can't, forechecking is a cumulative thing, too. You can't just forecheck now and again. You have to start working on defensemen and actually wearing them down. If you don't do it time and time again, you don't establish a forechecking game. You can't do that when you're in the box. There's no forechecking, obviously, when you're killing penalties all night.
Nope, and Otto and Patterson are doing just that. Patterson had that brushed free by the diving play of Jari Kurri. Otto had it taken away as he was outmanned by a pair of Oilers, and on comes Messier. Shovels over to Gretzky. Dumps off for Messier. Watched by Ramage, so it comes to Anderson. Slides it back to Charlie Huddy. Huddy with a pass over to Kurri. Gretzky. Huddy. Drive. Tipped loose by Ramage, so Anderson could not deflect. Huddy once more over to Kurri. Then to Gretzky. Deals off to Messier. Gretzky once more. Kurri a one-timer, and it sizzled wide. Huddy chops. Going over to play as Big Dana Merzen can't clear. Second effort, able to. And it sailed just underneath the center ice scoreboard.
You know, as much trouble as the Flames power play is having, their penalty killers are doing a real decent job in this series. Every time Wayne Gretzky got the puck that time when they were set up, didn't matter where he was forced. Dana Merzen would go all the way from the front of the net, way out to the top of the circle, and it was pretty successful. They're forcing. It's worked so far.
Taken and thrown for Simpson. Backhander is wide, and he was hit hard by Suter. And Simpson is hurt. There'll be no penalty call. Kerry Fraser was watching and indicated that that one was legal. Peter Miller, the trainer for the Oilers, is out to tend to Craig Simpson.
Well, after the Flames that fell in Game 3 here, namely Mike Bullard and Perry Berezan, I'm sure there aren't any tears being shed on the bench right now for Craig Simpson's well-being. Jari Kurri moves the puck up the side to Tikkanen, who goes wide right there on number 4, McCrimmon. Here's the chance in front by Simpson, and it looked as if Suter got a stick up on it. It wasn't a hit as much as it was a stick right in the face. more look at it. Watch Suter come up with a stick. Oh, yeah, right up under the shield, lifting his helmet right up.
And that's why Simpson is staring daggers in the direction of the referee as he heads to the bench.
It's kind of tough, too, you know, when you lean in like that. Simpson was leaning for the backhand and trying to get some leverage. When you're closer to the ice, the player that's defending against you really doesn't have to raise his stick as high as he normally would to be caught in a high sticking situation. So you can take an awful lick in the face when you're leaning to dig into the net.
That's an interesting point. Here's Messier dropping one back in. We have 25 seconds to go on this power play as Vernon tied up from behind by Tikkanen. Centering pass, they score! Mark Messier with another big one. 1-0 Oilers.
Disciplined as Mike Vernon has been in this series, he created his own monster here. He's out of the net. And watch him take the time to deliver a slash on Tikkanen. Watch right here. If he concentrates on getting back into his net, instead of taking the time to slash Tikkanen, he gets back in the net. You can see he didn't get back in the net. Mark Messier just got enough on kind of a weak backhander to beat him to it. There's Tikkanen moving on Vernon. There's the slash. And by the way, there's Messier moving through the frame. By the way, at the right of the screen, just at the end there, you might have noticed Carey Fraser coming in. He was calling a penalty on Mike Vernon one way or the other. Since the Oilers scored, the penalty gets wiped out. But the worst scenario for the Flames, they trail now, 1-0.
Cox is also dismissed from the box. It's a power play goal. Tikkanen will get one assist. It came at 9:27. Messier's third of the series and 7th overall. Tikkanen the only assist because Vernon's the one who had possession before. It's dropped around now to Natras. Bear in mind what Bill said early, that the Flames cannot afford to get behind. They are behind right now. Puck flipped and gloved ahead now by Cox. Tried to deal it up for Portnoy. McTavish there. McDonald brushed it away from him. Reinhart tries to follow up. Steps away from the check of McTavish, but the play thrown offside. 9:52 to go in the first. They're happy here at the Northlands Coliseum. Their team's up 1-0.
While some still believe you can't take it with you, those who've driven the new Mitsubishi wagon know just the opposite to be true. Now not only can you take it with you, but you can do so with a remarkable combination of style, spacious comfort, and versatility. The new Mitsubishi wagon, patiently crafted so you can take it all with you. Or better yet, so you can leave it all behind. Mitsubishi. Suddenly, the obvious choice.
Well, you talk about longevity. Wayne Gretzky has been an Edmonton Oiler for 9 years. On his left is Jari Kurri, who has been here for 8. And they also have on this team Grant Fuhr for 7, Anderson for 8, Messier for 8, and Kevin Lowe on the defense. He's playing it right now. He's been here 9 years. All 9 that the team has been in the NHL. And those are star caliber players who've been together all that time. Puck shoveled back in by Gary Roberts, and Lowe goes to take it, lost his edge, but is able to recover with a pass on now to Tikkanen. Tikkanen forced off by Roberts checking, tries to muscle it further. Ramage chopped it along, and it's Lowe taking over. An exchange between Tikkanen and Roberts is giving chase as Merzen. 9 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the first. Edmonton had 1-0 as Huddy fires one, and that ricocheted back out. And here's a chance for Nieuwendyk, but Fuhr comes out of his goal to just sweep it away. Brad McCrimmon back on defense. Tipped one along that's forced back by Huddy. Off Kurri to Gretzky for Tikkanen, but it bounced away. Controlled by Merzen. And there'll be an icing call as Charlie Huddy goes back to touch out. The Calgary Flames have 1 shot on goal. The Edmonton Oilers have 6.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, we copy of the action that is a chance to qualify for the playoffs.
We talked of specialty teams, and the Oilers have doubled Calgary's power play production.
You have to think, Mike, that there isn't a lot of pressure on the Calgary Flames in tonight's hockey. And probably as little pressure as there's been in this series. I would think that the only pressure they are facing is the pressure of embarrassment, being swept, finishing number 1 overall in the National Hockey League, and then being swept 4 straight. So if nothing else, the Flames, I think, have been relieved of some of the pressure and are playing with pride. And pride should be a big enough motivator to keep them in this hockey game. But as I mentioned, if they fall behind early, it'll be the supreme test to see if they can stay in it.
Here's Messier, checked by Otto. And the puck is Poplinski's, drilled into Simpson. Simpson trying to control, wrestled off by McCrimmon and Bias Anderson. That one hit off Patterson of Calgary. Suter over, checked from behind by Anderson, but the whole thing is wiped because the puck had been played by a high stick. 8:19 to go in the first. Oilers lead 1-0.
No big deal.
Tune-ups?
It's MasterCare Car Service.
Great tune-ups with a computer that talks to your car.
Finally, taking care of your car is no big deal. MasterCare Car Service by Firestone.
I thought they just sold tires.
Round of lights here?
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Let me know when you're ready for another round.
How would you describe the way Glenn Anderson plays when he makes up his mind to go from A to B? Reckless abandon, there he is. Kamikaze. Tried to go right over Gary Suter on that one.
Brad McCrimmon back right on his tail with Simpson. They hurry it, and Smith ricocheted one that bounced off Otto. Played back ahead by Gregg, and right in his face was Patterson. McCrimmon taps one back across. It is worked by Suter up the wing to Jim Poplinski. Poplinski with a blast, sticked away by Pure. Anderson. Quickly, defense to offense. It's the Oilers with Messier. Simpson leading, Smith shooting, and it went wide, and then barreling into Vernon, and perhaps having been shoved there was Simpson. Back up ice now, Poplinski. And play breaks down at the line. Nearly some indecision, but Anderson advances it to Messier. Oh, and he tried a breakaway pass for Courtnall, but it was offside. Still, I wasn't able to tell whether there was a shove of Simpson in, but there was some byplay afterward, too, I understand.
Well, there definitely was. If it wasn't a shove, it was some kind of interference that threw Craig Simpson off. Look at Mike Vernon. He's having a little chuckle with Carey Fraser. Ever the free-spirited guy. You got to like Mike Vernon's attitude. Here's the play that Steve Smith blasted wide. And there you see Suter. He was pushing Craig Simpson back over Mike Vernon. Now when Simpson tries to get out of the net here, his skate comes down and hits Vernon. And as he gets out, Vernon gives him a shot to get him away. Right there, Vernon was reaching for him. I'll tell you, Craig Simpson has paid the price for a lot of his goals, as has Joe Nieuwendyk. They really dig in close in front of the net. They get cross-checked in the ribs and high-sticked and speared in the ankles and slashed all over the place. They've paid their dues for their goals. There's a man who's paid his first-year dues. Terry Crisp, first-year coach of the Flames. He was in good spirits this morning. Of course, Terry Crisp, you know, I've known him for a lot of years. I don't think I've ever seen him in a real down mood for a very long period of time.
$200,000 went with that, which they divide up amongst themselves. But so often, winning overall does not guarantee any kind of prominence in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Even winning the division doesn't seem to mean that much. Reinhart tried to flip one wrong, but it came back to him. Then over to Natras. Rolls for McDonald. Low there, but gave it up to Reinhart. Has McDonald moving, but decided the better of a pass. Now hammers in. Low back to get it. We have 7:05 to go in the first period. Glad you've joined us tonight on ESPN. Smythe Division Finals. The Oilers lead in the best of 7, 3-0. And in this game, 1-0. Cox and Hannon collide, and then Natras knocks Hannon away. Here's the puck over to McClellan. A rising backhander off the glass.
Boy, wouldn't you have thought that he had time to get a forehander away? As soon as you put yourself in the backhand, you're really at a defenseman's mercy in that situation. McClellan never did get a good shot on goal.
Here's Mullen rattling one around, but it swirls over to McClellan. Cox sizes him up, bangs into him. They have an exchange as Ramage loses, and a nice pass by McTavish went just behind Courtnall. Boy, the conception was marvelous there on McTavish's part. Ahead now with it comes Mullen. Mullen with a big drive, and that's blocked away by Charlie Huddy. Mullen able to keep it in, but it's given back up to Lacombe, who's passed for Courtnall, tipped away by Mullen. And again, the Flames go back.
That was Marty McSorley that dumped the puck in. I'll tell you, he's still playing his game. He told us before the game he was just going to try and concentrate and not let the incident with Bullard, the spear, throw him off. So far, he's been pretty effective. Up on the play like he should be all the time.
Tim Hunter. His drive snatched by Fuhr, and play stops. 1-0 Oilers.
Nature can be devastating. The wood on your home needs protection. A water sealer waterproofs. Olympic Clear Wood Preservative does too. And Olympic gives you linseed oil that strengthens wood fibers. And additives to resist mildew. And preservatives to resist rot. Water sealers fade by comparison. Olympic, protecting wood for over half a century.
Buy Olympic Clear Wood Preservative through April 30th and get a $1.50 rebate from Olympic.
In St. Louis, the Detroit Red Wings still lead the Blues 2-0, but Glenn Hanlon in the goal for Detroit. Well, he's facing a 5-minute power play for the St. Louis Blues right now, so a golden opportunity for St. Louis to score at least one goal and try and get back in this game. Rick Zombo serves the major for Detroit. Let's get back to Edmonton and Mike and Bill.
Well, St. Louis has had a 5-minute major power play for the third time now in the 2 games that have been played at the St. Louis Arena. Detroit won the first 2 games. St. Louis took game 3, and they're in the midst of game 4, as Tom mentioned. Offside call. We're mentioning earlier that if you do well in the regular season, it doesn't necessarily help you in the playoffs. Since '81, when they ranked the teams 1 through 16 for determining playoff position, since then, 25 division winners have tried to get out of the division in the playoffs, and only 10 of them have succeeded. Less than half win the division in regular season and get out of that division. That's the first 2 rounds of the playoffs.
I think a lot of people should have remembered that here in Edmonton, because you'd be amazed at the number of people in Edmonton that gave up on the Edmonton Oilers before this series started. Not only did the people in Calgary think that the Flames were going to be a walk in this series, but a lot of people here in Edmonton did as well.
Here's Lube with Roberts breaking. It kicked off him and was patted away by Grant Fuhr. Simpson clears it back out. Good attack by Calgary, and this doesn't come on a power play. Teams at even strength, so there's an icing touch-up and a face-off to come back near Grant Fuhr. I'm sure that the Oiler players have felt that, and of course, having been in both positions of having won the division and having to take on upstart Calgary, now it's Calgary winning the division this year and having to deal with second-placed Edmonton.
I think it was a decided advantage for Grant Fuhr and his Oilers to go into this playoffs. Really the underdog. They really built it up as well. Everybody from Glenn Sather to all of the players when they've been interviewed. Huck and Lou moving in. Roberts just gets a piece of it. Now that shows you something about the concentration followed by the reaction of a guy like Grant Fuhr and just why he is considered the best in the world.
Well, Peter Pocklington, the owner of the Oilers, went on CBC radio before the series and said, I think Calgary will win it in 6. So all through the ranks, all the way to the owner himself, they were playing psychology. Krushelnyski and Otto for the face-off near Fuhr. Otto with a great shot, and Fuhr just snatched it away. Calgary has gotten the last 3 shots on goal, and Fuhr has handled them all, and they're tough ones. Drive by Hunter, then a little nudge in front by Roberts, and then this one.
Otto just moves by. Now that was by design. Otto popped the puck right between Krushelnyski's legs. That's a great look at it. Did you see what Otto did? Krushelnyski didn't read it at all, and Otto was able to get pretty good one on it. Now, if Otto has the winger that's with him going to the net, he's really got a real problem for Grant Fuhr to face, but nobody went with Otto. He tried to solo on it.
Off and on during the night, you'll hear chants of sweep, sweep, and those chants are being led by a couple of people in gorilla suits who are carrying a huge broom.
You mean they're not real?
Well, the zoo isn't really that far away,
right.
is it? It is Smith tapping away from Otto. Simpson in deep. That hit off Otto, and Steve Smith back to get it. Anderson's pass dropped back to him by Mark Messier. Under 5 minutes to go in the first period of this one. 1-0 the score. Edmonton ahead on Messier's goal. Natras tried to force it away. Still muscling along is Simpson, and Anderson worked it back to Gregg. Brought further by Patterson, but quickly it is lost. Steve Smith turns as Lanny McDonald's unit comes out now for Calgary. On with it, Simpson. Fed up the wing for Messier. Blocked by Reinhart. And here's Curry. In front. Score by Simpson. Wow.
As soon as he had it cocked, he had the stick up, waiting for the pass. You had to figure that if it came to him, he was going to get some kind of shot away. Craig Simpson just moved out of your screen to the right. He has it cocked in the slot. Bingo. Never stopped it. One timed it past Mike Vernon, but what a pass by Jari Kurri. There's Simpson, 18, right at the bottom of your screen. See how he had it cocked? Lanny McDonald went down just a touch late to try and block it. And Craig Simpson, who I mentioned had been, well, not the most obvious Oiler. Wow, another great chance for the Oilers. I mentioned hadn't been the most obvious Oiler in this series against the Flames. Just snaps one home. And the hole gets bigger for the Flames. 2-0 now, the Oilers lead.
Curry, the lone assist on Simpson's first of this series, and as you notice, the fifth of the playoffs at 15:31. Nieuwendyk just slammed down to the ice after that resounding check by Tikkanen. Roberts, though, turning one to Lou. Centered one, and it kicked away to Gretzky. Gretzky and Curry started ahead. Will he accelerate or slow? He'll dip one off, but Roberts is there to take it. Knocked back away by Tikkanen, but a good recovery by Roberts to Lou. Then across to Brad McCrimmon. Feeds up the wing to Roberts. Quick shot is steered away by Fuhr. And Curry just lays one back that goes under McCrimmon, and the clock ticks down to 3:23 left in this first period. Messier and Simpson the goals in Edmonton's 2-0 lead. Tim Hunter is out, moving in his Bullard. Wrist shot, blocked high by the leaping Fuhr. Mullen a drive, and another save. And a penalty coming up as Bullard was down in the crease. A slashing call against the Oilers. Let's go back to Tom Mees.
All right, Mike, on that St. Louis 5-minute power play, you're going to see a scramble in front. Mark Hunter takes the initial shot on Glenn Hanlon. Tony McKegney sweeps in the rebound. McKegney from Hunter at 19:40. The second period has just ended. Detroit leading this game 2-1, but St. Louis will still have a minute 12 of the power play to start the third period.
All right, Tom, the plot thickens in St. Louis. Here, what a shot that was by Mike Bullard, and here's a look at it. It doesn't look like he got much wood on it, but did he ever fire it? Handcuffed Grant Fuhr on the rebound. The penalty is right in front of Grant Fuhr. It's a hold to the side. Watch Bullard trying to get ground right in front of Grant Fuhr. Well, I thought it was Huddy. Yeah, it's exactly who it was. It could have been either Huddy or Marty McSorley. McSorley was hooking somebody in front, too, but Huddy for the slash. So the Flames can stay alive. What a chance to get one here. 3:09 to go. They're trailing by 2. They have got to have one.
It has been a long time for their power play to succeed. McCrimmon back to Ramage. Flips one in front, directed toward the net, but blocked by humanity. McCrimmon right back over to Ramage. McCrimmon hurries it over to Tonelli. Hammers one, but a sprawling deflection made by Randy Gregg. McTavish blocks up, trying to jam it loose was Nieuwendyk, but it comes over to Steve Smith. Open ice ahead. Will he clear or carry? He sends it down. In the last game, Calgary 0 for 8, 2 for 5 in Game 2, and 1 for 8 in Game 1. Game 1's importance just paramount in this series because the Oilers won at Calgary and shut down that big power play. Mullen tries to steer it along with his skate, but a battle must continue. Loeb back to Mullen. Then again to Loeb with Tonelli moving in front, but the puck behind. Gretzky clears. It is kept moving, though, along from Ramage to Loeb. Loeb buried by Lowe. The puck to Mullen. Oh, and a diving play by Muni as he had a man right in front, and that was John Tonelli. Puck kept by Ramage. 40 seconds to go power play. Tonelli pressed by Muni. In comes Joe Mullen, able to spirit it away. Then double teamed in the puck to Gretzky. Starts out again with Jari Kurri shorthanded. Gretzky has Smith breaking. Tried to lay it to him, but it was deflected away. Gee, especially when our cameras are wide like that, it's fun just to watch Gretzky and see him think. And also see whether his line mates can think with him.
I think a lot of people wonder whether or not you can think along the lines of Wayne Gretzky. I maintain the smarter the man is with the puck, the easier it is to think with him. Basically, all you have to do is concentrate on getting open. And if you get open, you've got a great chance of getting the puck. It's less complex than you would think to play with a guy like Wayne.
Messier to Huddy, and he bounced one wide, threw it to the side of the net, punched out in front, but it's swept away and then played by Paul Reinhart. Penalty time is up. Bullard trying to steer through, but lost it to Mark Messier. Lays it back ahead to Simpson. Shovels over to Curry, and the shot ricocheted off the skates of Simpson, who centered, but Patterson was there. 40 seconds to go in the first period. Shots are even at 7. Oilers leading 2-0. The 8th shot was from Patterson, and the 9th one came steaming in from Reinhart. Here's Gretzky, 1-on-3. This will be interesting. Lays it back over to Curry, but it's Colin Patterson for Calgary. Shakes away and gets a pass ahead to Poplinski. 20 seconds left in the period as he's bumped by Muni. Still a chance for the Oilers. Tikkanen ahead to Gretzky. Nice tip to Anderson. Tries to force his way by and is taken out of the play by Natras. The puck comes right back near them, but it's Murzin to get it in the final nickel's worth of seconds in the period. And Murzin just drops it back down. The siren goes. Murzin with a brief exchange with Anderson. But this will all be calm. Calgary with some thinking to do.
Absolutely. Some focusing to do. They have to just focus on the second period. They are down by 2. Long hill to climb, and it's getting greasier by the minute here.
20 minutes gone. 2-0 Oilers.
Being 7'2" has its disadvantages. Like
Charlie Huddy with a tackle on over to Gregg. 10 seconds left on the Oiler power play. Up the wing, Anderson with a little trouble taking the crisp pass. Chased off by Suter. Puck drilled around the glass by Otto and all the way in on Fuhr. Out of the box comes Lube, so the teams are back at even strength. Pass misses for Courtnall. Right back along comes Bullard. Then to Patterson, a drive deflected wide by Gregg. In pinches Suter, and his shot ricocheted off skates. Suter once more. Girls looks for Patterson, then for Lube, and it's knocked away by Smith, and here is a 3-on-1 for the Oilers. Gretzky across, score!
Gretzky won't frame this one and call it a masterpiece, but at this stage, who cares? And when things start to go bad, well, they go bad for the Flames. Here come the Oilers, 3 strong, 1 man back. You got to figure Gretzky will pass. That's just what he's made of. He tries the pass right back off of Brad McCrimmon's right skate. Mike Vernon had already committed to moving with the pass, and he should have. Comes right back. We'll get a great look at it here. Right back to Gretzky with Vernon moving the other way. Vernon still gets a piece of it. Watch Gretzky.
Yeah. You know, Bill, I've seen him show more emotion in this series than any I can recall, maybe back to the first Cup year in '84.
I think that shows just how important this series is to the Edmonton Oilers. They've had to wait for 2 years, and they've been really knocked around by the Flames during that 2-year period. But they've had to wait 2 years to wash away the memory of '86.
Courtnall up with it for Edmonton. Smith gets the lone assist on the Gretzky goal. Gretzky's 5th of the playoff and 4th of this series in 4 games. Lowe sails. Back to get it is Murzin. Shift change on. They bring out Krushelnyski, McClellan, and Hannon. McSorley will be in back on defense with Charlie Huddy. Here's Bullard moving down the ice. Punched away from him by Huddy. Quickly across to Tonelli. Denied by McClellan. Krushelnyski. Nice little swat. And then he goes down. Murzin flips. Fans want a penalty as Charlie Huddy can't pinball one away. Messier and Simpson scored in the first period. Gretzky just a moment ago here in the second, in case you're just joining us. From the Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, Alberta, the Oilers with a chance to put their arch rivals from south of here in the same province, the Calgary Flames, away in a clean sweep, something that hasn't happened in the 3 previous playoff series between these 2 teams. 2 of those series have gone a 7th game. The Oilers have won 1 and the Flames won, and then another was an Oiler 4-1 advantage, requiring only 5 games. Reinhardt drives it back. So Grant Fuhr will just tap calmly to Marty McSorley. McSorley's pass is off the tip of Huddy, but taken by Hannon. Chased down by McDonald, and it's forced back in. Glenn Sather makes another change, bringing out Gretzky, Curry, and Tikkanen. Tikkanen just taps it back to Gregg. Play read by Roberts, but he couldn't control, and it's a 3-on-2. Tikkanen moving. Curry toward the front. The blast! Goal!
Come on the transition. From defense to offense comes Esa Tikkanen. He's got Gretzky. He's got Curry with him. Does he need him? No way. He just winds up, but he waits until he has a screen. He's got Reinhardt right there, and Jari Kurri putting up kind of a screen on Mike Vernon. That hit Vernon's stick and went right up between his legs. Hit the very top of the blade of Mike Vernon's stick, so even the muscle on the Curry, Gretzky, Tikkanen line is scoring now, and there you see the man that has been entrusted with putting up some kind of backstop in front of that goal. The Flames have taken now 9 shots, or at least the Oilers, 9 shots on the Calgary goal. 4 of them have got by Mike Vernon, and that is Rick Wamsley, who is making his first appearance in the playoffs this year for the Calgary Flames.
Prior experience before the March trade, Montreal and St. Louis in the NHL. He's been around for close to a decade. Here is Puklinski centering one, but that caromed to Gregg. 4-0 the Oilers, and the game not half over. Simpson starts in and goes down. May have taken an errant stick. And while they tend to Simpson, will bow out.
In a world where the difference between promise and product is often considerable, this automobile delivers exactly what you would expect of it. It's the 1988 Lincoln Town Car, and it's available at Key Lincoln Mercury in New Kensington. The Town Car is uncompromised in room and comfort, and it delivers an exceptionally smooth and substantial ride. Undiminished size, uncompromised luxury. Anything less wouldn't be a Town Car. Test drive the Town Car today at Key Lincoln Mercury in New Kensington.
The selection is red hot at Doug's Music in the Highlands Mall, Natrona Heights. Like Doug's large inventory of keyboards by Yamaha, Casio, and Bontempi. Acoustic and electric guitars by G&L, JV Player, Martin Stinger, Fender, and more. Doug's Music also carries a full line of KMD and Randall amplifiers. For all your musical needs, cruise on down to Doug's Music in the Highlands Mall, Natrona Heights.
BMW 325i convertible, the ultimate tanning machine. Today you need an insurance company that looks out for you year after year. A company with experience, measured in centuries instead of years. A company with a firm financial footing. You need the Hartford, the insurance people of ITT. When you need us most, we're at our best. That's the Hartford difference.
You're viewing the Road to the Cup, the Stanley Cup playoffs on ESPN. Tomorrow night, Sam Rosen, Phil Esposito will be at the Forum in Montreal, where for the first time since 1943, the Bruins have a chance to eliminate the Montreal Canadiens. Well, they've had some chances in the years prior to that, but they haven't succeeded since the war years. And not to deny Boston's effort then, but all of the rosters in the NHL were depleted by 1943 because of service in the war. Natras a shot off the Fuhr, loose puck and where is it? The red light is on. Out of the scramble, will it count? Did it go in before the net was dislodged? Kerry Fraser will consult with his linesman and will await the decision.
It looked for a moment as if the puck had gone up in the air and landed right on Grant Fuhr's mask, and then when it hit the ice, he reached around for it. Where did it go? It was in the net. At one point, the net was popped off its moorings, Mike, and I think I was mistaking the little magnet for the puck. I lost sight of it. Watch it here. Key face-off by Lanny McDonald. Here comes the blast by Natras. Watch it now. Where is it? Well, your guess is as good as mine. You know what? That sure looked like it bulged the twine. Was it Cox that put it in?
Yeah.
Sure looked like it bulged the twine before the net came off, and that has to be the consideration here. Watch Cox. There it is. And well, that's when you want a super slow-mo now. If they want to argue that someone was in the crease, you got to know that whoever that order was on the outside was pushing the flame into the crease, because there was another flame in behind Cox.
They have now determined that it counts. It's up on the flame side of the board as a big one.
Here's the shot by Natras. Pops up in the air. It did land right on top of Grant Fuhr's helmet and slid down the back of his mask.
And it was clearly in before the net dislodged. And Craig Cox, the addition to the lineup tonight, is the guy who muscled it home.
Sure did.
So initially it was the Flames who were complaining. And then the decision was reached after conferring with the linesman that it was a legal goal scored by Craig Cox. Reinhardt and McDonald get the assists at 10:35. And the Flames have gotten on the board at about the halfway point in regulation time. Perhaps this is part of what Bill mentioned as the pecking away. We'll see. Natras shoulders with Courtnall. The puck lifted behind, and Reinhardt couldn't get to it because of the checking of McTavish. Lacombe is there. Checked by Natras. Booming in is Cox. That was on Courtnall, and then Cox able to roll it along. Shoves Lacombe down. Still they work, and the puck to Gregg. Chops one, knocked down by Reinhardt. Paul Reinhardt for Calgary, along to Lanny McDonald. It's scooped up by Cox. Cox sidestepped the check attempt by Lacombe, and the crowd went ooh. Grant Fuhr flicks it away, and Roberts hurries one to McDonald, who tried the angle shot off the goalie, but hit the net. The puck rolled off an uneven piece of the glass, perhaps on a glass support, and now it is Courtnall advancing it to McTavish. Hands on to Lacombe. Just plays it in deep, and Brad McCrimmon is back as the Oilers make another change. Anderson and Simpson come out, along with Huddy and McSorley. Charlie Huddy keeps play moving for Edmonton. Here's Messier steaming in. Finessed it away to Simpson. Simpson still able to control. Then is wrestled off by McCrimmon as the play made to Suter. Suter's pass is off Mullen's stick. Banked along but into the referee skates by Huddy. Flames are able to turn it back only as far as McSorley. McSorley's play is to Messier, and then once more they make the Flames chase it. Back to get it is Suter. Freeman and Anderson waltzed one another off, is back with it, and a long pass from Suter was across two lines out of the defensive zone, taken by Bullard, and we get a stoppage of play. Oilers fans, young and old, that young man would not remember those WHA days, would he? The NHL came, and shortly after he became of age to watch it, he is here. Charlie Huddy, plus-minus winner, the first year that that award was given out.
Here's another look in super slow-mo. Well, one thing the Flames have been doing right tonight is winning the face-off. This is the goal that Cox scores right here. You can see that sweep of his stick went into the net before everybody charged in and knocked it off. Well, Kerry Fraser he was too busy keeping his balance, I think, to see what happened. Ron Finn had the best look at it of all.
Good to see on super slow-mo. It's just the regular action is fast enough, but sometimes even our usual slow-mos do not slow it sufficiently for us to see little things like the positioning of Finn just now.
I think one of the things that people misinterpret, I did the first time I heard of super slow-mo, I thought that the replay was actually traveling slower than a normal replay. Well, it isn't. There are just more frames per second. I think 90-some as opposed to 30-some, so you have a crystal clear picture of what happens. They call it super slow-mo, but it really doesn't happen any slower when you see it than a regular replay.
Curry tried to get by Ramage and forced a shot into the side of the net. 7.5 minutes to go, second period. Tom Mees back at our studios, keeping an eye on that fourth game between Detroit and St. Louis that Detroit was leading 3-1 in the third period. He'll be updating us, and here it is Oilers 4, Flames 1. If the Flames lose, they're out. Poplinski, a good shot, acrobatically handled by Fuhr. Then they score on the rebound. Not even knowing that he had scored was Merzen.
He backhanded it, Mike, and then turned away from the play. It was kind of a desperation chop. He didn't follow the rebound to the net. He was moving away from it, but the big save that Fuhr made was originally on Poplinski. Here the Flames started up ice. Merzen over to Ramage, who centers it up to Joe Nieuwendyk. He gets by Charlie Huddy and feeds Poplinski, and what a save Fuhr made on him, but does Fuhr recover in time? Yep, look at Fuhr. He is up. Here comes Merzen. Just a backhand chop that goes right by Marty McSorley, then right by Grant Fuhr, right up over his shoulder into the short side high. Rolling puck, Merzen chops, turns. It's behind Fuhr, and the Flames, well, they're pecking away, 4-2.
2 pecks in the span of 2 minutes and 10 seconds here. The first by Cox, the second by Merzen. 3-on-2 Oilers. In comes Lacombe. Centers one off Reinhart, and it couldn't be turned toward the net because of the checking of Tim Hunter. Back out now come the Flames, and they try to get one to Patterson, but he was in early, and so an offside call.
There's the goal scorer, Dana Merzen, the man that came here from the Hartford Whalers.
Dream come true, he says, to play in his hometown of Calgary. Not many players get to do that. One that comes to mind is Brian Mullen of the Rangers, who plays in Madison Square Garden, the very neighborhood where he grew up, but not many get that chance.
I think the key word in that statement is play, to play in your own town. Merzen has been in and out of the lineup towards the end of the season, and especially in the playoffs. He hasn't played all of the games in this series. He did play here in Game 3. He's back in uniform tonight. The Flames have, I think, by playoff standards, made wholesale changes in this series. They looked a little off balance after Game 1, and after Game 2, when they lost in overtime, boy, they really started making changes then.
Poplinski and Nieuwendyk got the assists on Merzen's first of this series and second in the playoffs at 12:45. Gary Suter, native of Madison, Wisconsin, falls as he heads in. Huddy pumped it loose, and it's brought back up by Messier. No one to pass to just yet, so it's laid in deep, and Gary Roberts goes back. Swinging it away from him is Walmsley. Up to Cox, who directs only as far as Kevin Lowe. Off of Anderson, but taking it as Simpson. Has a man up the wing, but a good play by Brad McCrimmon denies the pass for Messier. 6:15 to go in the second. Oilers 4. And the Flames 2 as we watch Walmsley get hooked up with an Oiler behind the net. That was Messier, and still with an exchange. Terry Fraser has not seen that. Meanwhile, back down the ice, it's Roberts. Now, Gord Brosiker was taking a look back in that direction. We don't know if there'll be a penalty. Here is Roberts pivoting with it, yanking a pass that will be gathered in by McDonald. Suter at the front. McDonald turns one along, but it is Messier. Checked on the play by Cox. And cleared off a player at the bench while the Flames were changing. Here's Hannon, a backhander. He scores! From the Oilers' end. And you were right, Mike. There are the Flames changing on the fly. It looks like Dana Merzen coming on, and Dave Hannon, the ex-Penguin, seizes the opportunity to come in, and you know what? He didn't beat Brad McCrimmon at all. He just took a backhand shot that beats Rick Walmsley. Let's get a look at where it goes. Walmsley was cheating, and cheating too much. It caught the inside of his stick and went right into the center of the net. That is Dave Hannon's first playoff goal.
But that's been the story of the Oilers. When they've needed it, they've gotten it from their big guns to lead them. But a lot of other guys, including defensemen and defensive forwards like Dave Hannon, have chipped in. So his first playoff goal makes it 5-2. That's the one the Oilers needed to get back up on top by a sizable margin.
Unassisted, the goal by Hannon. You'll remember that one a long time. A few years with the Penguins when they did not make the playoffs. All the years he was there, that was the case. But now, this may loom as a big goal in Edmonton hockey history if it continues to spur the Oilers back, because the Flames were making a move. They had come back from 4 down to 2 down. Now it is a -3 for Calgary with 4:52 to go in the second period. Just a dot and I across a T. We saw Gord Brassiker looking back at the confrontation between Messier and the goaltender Walmsley. He is a linesman, and he's only able to stop play in that instance for a major penalty, not for a minor. And if anything, out of that, it would just been a minor for perhaps a roughing or perhaps a hooking or something that was going on. And now a tuck in by the Flames, and they're back to within 2. A bouncing puck at the side of the net, and Joel Otto has put it home. Or check me on that, it may be Nieuwendyk.
It was Nieuwendyk who actually got the puck in tight. Nobody went to him. And Grant Fuhr this is one of the few times you will see Grant Fuhr not use the stick to help himself. So the Flames have drawn back to within 2. Reinhart just slaps it towards the net, but it gets deflected and goes into the corner. Watch what happens here. Nieuwendyk gets it right in tight and right in low on Grant Fuhr. He seemed surprised by it. He didn't choke up his stick there. He missed on the poke. And Joe Nieuwendyk pops it between Fuhr's legs. Kevin Lowe was the man that wasn't able to get to Joe Nieuwendyk in time. So when we could have said the Oilers had nailed the last one into the coffin, no way. The Flames come back and get one more. 5-3, 4 minutes to go in the second period.
Did you notice the Flames bench? A lot of heads were moving there, weren't they? Bill has mentioned on other occasions that sometimes when a team has gone into some shock, there's very little movement down at the bench area. They've fought their way back into this one for the second time. Diving play made by Reinhart. Courtnall bumps it out, and this time it is Joel Otto who will turn it in. Down goes Patterson. There'll be a penalty coming up to Lacombe. The Oilers lead in the game 5-3. But the Flames will have a 5-on-4-man advantage.
The hottest hits and the hottest stars come together on Viewer's Choice. Join Dennis Quaid in a fantastically funny voyage inside Martin Short.
I'm in here, inside your body.
Inner space. Then it started as a quiet evening at home. Adventures in babysitting. Next, it's Flowers in the Attic from the bestseller that shocked 40 million readers. And John Cryer discovers the one thing more dangerous than the mob. High school.
No smoking on the school grounds.
In the smash hit, Hiding Out. Ally Sheedy is a rich girl gone broke.
I did not spend 6 years in junior college to be a maid.
Made to order. And coming in June, it's Rob Reiner's latest comedy, The Princess Bride. Jack Nicholson and Cher star in The Witches of Eastwick. And Diane Keaton has a rash of problems in Baby Boom. Why rent 'em? We got 'em. Order a hit tonight on Viewer's Choice.